Midday with Ray Martin. The stars and the fun.
And you haven't aged a bit, have you?
That was a great haircut, Leslie.
And on Monday's show, a medical breakthrough curing varicose veins. The bishop who doesn't want women ordained. And through the week, the sensational Debbie Reynolds. Best-selling author Sidney Sheldon. Original Seekers lady Judith Durham. The ex-illegal casino operator and politician, Jay Hurley. Leonard Maltin with Charlie Chaplin's 100th birthday and more. Midday with Ray Martin on 9.
Next week on A Current Affair, how 3 pools winners were fleeced of their millions.
He has destroyed our lives, yes.
It's all gone.
And they're all chasing this man.
Where's the money you took from the people in Australia?
And the Waters family. While Dad and Dean defend murder charges, the others are still chasing titles.
You've had a little holiday while I've been away. Now, come on. Put your back into it. The fight's only 2 weeks away.
Next week on A Current Affair, following National 9 News at 6.
I'm Graham Kennedy. John Mangos and I bring you the news, coast to coast. John, any news fit to see this Friday evening, the 7th day of April, 1989?
Graham, tonight, Alan Bond's media empire shaken by today's Broadcasting Tribunal ruling.
Blimey.
The Soviet leader comes out from behind the Iron Curtain to meet the Iron Lady. And spills galore during practice for the Australian Motorbike Grand Prix.
Mr. Wong, Mr. Wong.
Hi.
Welcome to Coast to Coast.
Hi.
Mr.
Thank
Wong.
you so very much.
Our Mr. Wong series is proving very popular. But we wanted to tell you that one must keep in mind that American Express credit cards are available all over the world, even in Ireland. Here's Mr. Wong's equivalent in Dublin, so he wouldn't be called Mr. Wong. Mr. Wong comes from Hong Kong. So in Dublin, Mr. Wong would probably be called Mr. O'Brien, let's say.
Mr. O'Brien, I've lost all of my traveller's checks.
Oh, to be sure now. What kind were they?
American Express.
Oh, you're in luck then. They've got an office in Hong Kong. But here's another version of that famous commercial.
Mr. Wong, I've lost all of my traveller's checks.
Oh, so? Were they American Express?
No.
Oh, piss off then.
From the vast resources of the Nine Network's news-gathering facilities, here is the up-to-the-minute news of the day. In our newsroom, here's Sandra Falloon.
Graham, John. Businessman Alan Bond is facing the possible loss of his media interests after a ruling against him by the Australian Broadcasting Tribunal. But with another sitting in 3 weeks to consider penalties, Mr. Bond says it's up to him to convince the tribunal that he's fit to keep his broadcasting licences.
The tribunal's options include imposing conditions on Mr. Bond's broadcasting licences or forcing him to dispose of his extensive radio and television interests. The tribunal found Mr. Bond had not told the truth about his $400,000 payment to former Queensland Premier Sir Joby Alke-Peterson and rejected his explanation that he was confused when he spoke to Jana Wendt on Channel 9's A Current Affair.
Certainly the Premier made it under no doubt that if we were going to continue to do business successfully in Queensland, then he expected that matter to be resolved.
And the tribunal did not believe Mr. Bond's denial that he had once threatened to use his television staff to expose share dealings by the AMP Society.
What I now propose to do is to report back to the Bond Board, report to the Bond Media Board, let us digest what has been said, and then hopefully during the day both boards will come out with a statement.
While Bond Media works out what submissions it will make to the tribunal next month, share markets have not reacted adversely. The price of Bond shares has remained stable, both at home and overseas. But there's already been some political reaction. In Brisbane, the man who first referred the Alan Bond Sir Joe issue to the tribunal, Queensland Labor MP Neville Warburton, has called for charges to be laid against Sir Joe. Bernard Levy, Graham Kennedy, Coast to Coast.
In a brief court appearance in Melbourne tonight, former National Safety Council Chief John Friedrich was remanded in custody on charges of credit by deception. Friedrich was flown into Melbourne after being extradited from Perth. He had a short reunion with his wife before being taken to a special night court sitting. He'll reappear in court on Monday. Much of outback Queensland is cut off by floodwaters tonight. Worst hit is the town of Longreach, where record falls of close to half a metre in just 24 hours have turned the usually arid centre into a braided patchwork.
Yeah, can you see the road? That's the trouble. If you go off there, mate, you're gone.
In the cyclone-battered region south of Townsville, landslides have blocked the only access road into the Hills township of Yongella. The Air Force is flying in supplies, but with rain still falling, the Weather Bureau says the worst could still be to come. And far from trying to avoid the water, the country's top divers are taking the plunge at the National Championships in Adelaide. On a high, Australia's top performer Craig Rogerson in the 3-metre event. A sole Olympian, he's a sure candidate for the Australian squad, which will compete in the World Cup in America next month. Favourite for the women's squad, Peter Taylor, who took out today's heat. Other events, including the 10-metre platform final, will take place this weekend. And that's all from the newsroom, but I'll be back with more later in the show.
Robert Penfold reports from Britain that the most famous commos in the world, Mr. and Mrs. Gorbachev, are a big hit. Apparently the Brits are tickled pink.
President Gorbachev had his security men on the run early in London today. It was one of those impromptu walkabouts, the Soviet leader being treated more like a celebrity than a serious-minded world leader.
Mr. Gorbachev, thank you all for this reception.
This was never planned as a visit to be taken up solely by talks on disarmament or human rights. Rather, it's more of a thank you to Mrs. Thatcher for her goodwill visit to the Soviet Union. With all the goodwill going on, it's worth remembering the British nuclear missiles are still pointing fairly and squarely at the Soviet Union. While the leaders here discuss that and other subjects, Mrs. Gorbachev is doing what any other person does when they come to London. She's out taking a sightseeing tour. She visited London Bridge and then looked across at the Tower of London, where in days gone past the English dealt with their dissidents.
Can I point out the bloody tower and the Traitor's Gate?
And on a day where the temperature barely climbed above 4 degrees, after the Cuban heat, was she surprised by the London weather?
I feel quite fresh after Havana.
They may be on distinctly opposite sides of the political fence, but it's very clear that these two like each other a lot. Mrs. Thatcher's aides say she told Gorbachev she thought his government was being less than honest on the subject of chemical weapons. He complained she was unnecessarily modernising nuclear weapons. They agreed to disagree. They stayed good friends, and tomorrow it will be total diplomacy, lunch with the Queen, where Mr. Gorbachev hopes Her Majesty will say yes to a tour of Russia. In London, I'm Robert Penfold reporting for Graham Kennedy, Coast to Coast.
My God, I had no idea that Mrs. Thatcher had AIDS. Did you hear that? No, I swear I heard.
He did say that.
I think the Russians made Gorbachev. Did you know this, Zon? The Russians made Mr. Gorbachev an honorary Tsar.
That's right, Graham. And Oxford University has made him an honorary dean.
So now he's an honorary Tsar-dean.
That's right. The mercury levels were low in Augusta, Georgia. For our great white shark, he was looking more like a flounder in the US Masters. Lee Trevino has taken the early lead in the tournament with a first round of 67.
Mention age to 87-year-old golf legend Gene Sarazen, and he'll respond with the tidy swing still used to open day one at Augusta. So at just under half Sarazen's vintage, Lee Trevino looks like a sprightly youth at the 16th.
Right center of the green.
After 22 years at Augusta, Trevino's day came just in time. Next year, he transfers to the Seniors Tour.
This is as happy as I've ever been at a Masters, yeah. I'm really enjoying this week.
Unhappy was Greg Norman. Usually he mauls par fives, but at the 13th, he was on the receiving end.
And he had the ball above his feet.
Likewise, his co-favourite Ballesteros, whose bare-legged salvage operation failed completely. But by the 17th, he'd recovered to finish a threat at 1 under. At 2 over, Norman had to coax birdies from Augusta's treacherous back 9.
Watch this.
As Curtis Strange showed with this triple bogey, that's easier said than done. As usual, the notable exception was Ben Crenshaw. That one at 16 failed to inspire his playing partner Norman, who bogeyed 2 of the last 3 holes. On the 18th, he was looking for a bit of luck to take home.
That's the way the game of golf goes, I suppose. You make your share and you miss your share.
It was one of those days. Take Tommy Nakajima's effort from 100 metres at the 17th. Highlights tomorrow at midday. Tim Sheridan for Graham Kennedy, Coast to Coast.
Married to our beloved owner, Alan Bond, for 34 years, Eileen Bond is famous in her own right as an interior decorator of restaurants, hotels, and most recently, fancy mucking up an item on our owner's wife. I wouldn't. Isn't that terrible? Oh, I don't know where to look. Oh, that's quite good. No. In her own right, restaurants, hotels, and recently, this is what's been throwing me, you see. Cockatoo Island. Mrs. Bond, of course, gets more housekeeping money than most housewives. Oh, God.
While her husband, Alan Bond, strides the world, performing mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on a multinational business empire, Eileen, mother of 4, is busy running her own race, applying her distinctly flamboyant style to developing and decorating a swag of hotels, restaurants, and holiday resorts.
When Bondy gets a place that you can do up, you seem to be in there with your paint pots on one arm and a few rolls of paper under another, and you really throw yourself into it. You get a buzz out of it?
I do. I love it. And I guess in the earlier years, that's exactly what I did. I mean, I'd take the ladder and paint the houses, the little house they used to buy in North Fremantle and places like that. But then it sort of got bigger and bigger, and I've had lots more experience in doing hotels and aeroplanes and boats. So now what I'm doing is becoming more of a consultant.
Eileen's latest project is the whiz-bang holiday resort on the old iron ore mining site of Cockatoo Island in the far northwest of Australia. You seem to have a thing about pink as a colour. It's definitely your favourite colour. Why pink?
But why I picked pink up there was because it goes in so well with the lovely, the colours up there, the colours of the trees and the ground. Pink was just the perfect colour.
To some people, she's Alan Bond's greatest asset. So what kind of woman is she?
Well, it's probably what you see. Very interested in family life. I mean, loved Perth, loved the family, loved being home, but also like to travel. Interior decorating is my great love in my life.
There's no questioning the fact that Bond, the Baron of beer, buildings and broadcasting, lives life at a furious pace. But don't his deals ever give Eileen the jitters?
No, never. I mean, Alan and I have been together a long time, and he has been always progressing. He's never taken a backward step. So you always know that, someone might sort of be sitting back thinking, oh, my gosh, that was a big thing to do. But Alan's going on to the next thing.
They've been married 34 years, and there's no prize for guessing their most memorable moment.
And when we were losing that America's Cup, we would get all this dreadful publicity. I mean, Alan was an English immigrant every time we lost it. When we won it, he was the top Australian. So we're just having another little run, but I'm sure we'll get over that.
Although she lives in a mansion filled with fabulous works of art, Eileen is no bird in a gilded cage. To the people of Perth, she's very much a person in her own right. Scratch any partygoer at the Cockatoo Island party, and you find an Eileen fan.
I think she's got a great heart, and she's just a lovely lady. I love her.
She's just nice. She likes people, and you get that warm feeling. And it doesn't matter whether you're the janitor, or whether you're the king, or whoever you are. She always comes up and says, "Hey, lucky!"
And I've got to agree. She is a special person. I just wish there were more like her.
Big Red, they call her. Mrs. Bond, Big Red. Well, and that's fame for you. I mean, they've even named a tomato sauce after her.
Where desire knows no limits. Richard Gere, Kim Basinger.
What's this going to cost? Well, more than her.
Shattering the rules. For the first time on television, no mercy.
I want to know what happened.
Murder brought them together. Passion keeps them there.
He has no business being a police officer.
The untamed sensuality of 9.5 weeks. The power of an officer and a gentleman in an outstanding premiere.
I don't care about about you.
You belong to me.
No Mercy, Sunday, 8:30 on 9.
No wonder Keith Bowden's backing Simpson.
You keep coming back.
Simpson dishwashers clean dirty dishes squeaky clean, quietly and efficiently. Keith Bowden Electrical, South Road, St Mary's.
You keep coming back.
We'll be back.
Now there's a product to positively reduce oil consumption and exhaust smoking. Wins Charge. The long-chain polymer in Charge boosts oil viscosity. This reduces oil consumption and ugly exhaust smoking. Wins Charge also reduces wear, quiets noisy engines and improves performance. Add Wins Charge to your car's engine today, because when it's Wins, it works. From leading service stations and auto stores.
Making it easy for you to choose. We're making an offer you can refuse.
Now Pizza Hut make kids feel even more welcome with their own special children's menu. A choice of 3 delicious kid-sized meals. Pizza or submarine or spaghetti plus a soft drink and dessert. All for $2.95.
Making it early, making it late. Pizza Hut, making it great.
Dine in or take away.
At Mazda, we believe so strongly in the quality of our utes that we're the only ones to offer you an unlimited kilometre warranty. So you can treat them like dirt for 12 months and still remain fully covered. You get more from Mazda.
For around 50 cents, you used to get this many chips. But now, for a few cents more, you get new big grab packs with heaps more Ruffles, Thins and Doritos. Bigger value, big grab packs. How does that grab you?
Flor, why did you give me that? Is that now? Ah! Right, I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. And they're upside down. That's my fault. Phone calls. Oh, really? Yes. Yeah. Oh, I think I've ruined the hair. No, the hair's all right. Who's in our lucky seat tonight? Who will win the fabulous trip tonight? It's you, sir. Would you stand up? Yes? Stand up, please. What is your name, sir?
Mario.
Mario what? Quattreville. And where are you from, Mario?
Balgala.
Balgala. You have won our fabulous trip for the evening. What is it again? 2 weeks in Beirut. With no expenses.
Thank you.
That's what, sit down and don't have live with the stars. Now. I made myself laugh, sir. You break my heart. People ring us and we pass them on. These phone calls are as a result of last night's Coast to Coast program. A St John's Park woman rang to say Graham's show is great and he's extremely talented. John Mangos is very, very sexy. And George Danikian is also very, very sexy. How about lunch? Truly says, how about lunch? Whose? Oh, you mean the three of us go to... Right. A West Australian caller asks, why hasn't Graham commented on the Frederick case? How much money do you need to steal from the government before one is prosecuted? How many birth certificates can you have? Do you want to get into that? No. A Balmain woman asks, Graham, are your nails clean? I think so. What a funny... People ring about everything. A Gold Coast viewer says, John has made a big improvement to the show. Oh, gee. We get lots of those. Sorry. It's okay. A Double Bay viewer asks, why is it we don't see shots of John and Graham at the same time? Well, if we did, it'd look like this. A bit of a mess. Or we could do it another way. Is that better? What could you mean? Why? Oh, no, don't. Well, there's my head on John's shoulders. Then there's that. I mean, you can have that idea. We just don't understand the question. What happens now? Is that it? Oh, do you mean this? Oh, is that what you mean? A two-shot? Why didn't you say so? The girls from Telecom in Melbourne would like to know which VFL team John follows.
Fitzroy.
Fitzroy. And do you know, by sheer coincidence, we are in Melbourne next week and we do all 5 nights from the studios of GTV9, and the following Saturday, Fitzroy, John's team, plays St Kilda, my team, at VFL Park, and we're not going. Oh, we are going, aren't we?
Of course, I wouldn't want to see Fitzroy lose. I mean, I wouldn't want to miss a victory.
No. All right. A member of Bikers Limited says, I'm not offended, but we are not bikies, we are bikers. I gather there's a difference. I think bikies, allegedly, are the ones that have skull and crossbones and they have a shoot-up every now and then. It is alleged. Whereas bikers, I think, just do it for the fun of it. You know, they don't want to kill anyone at any hotels or anything. And we are told, and we rarely do this, some of our audience tonight are from Castle Hill Rotaract. Can we see the Rotaract, Randall, people? Put your hands up if you're from Castle Hill Rotaract. Well, there's quite a lot of them, isn't there? Thank you for coming in. Because his wife refuses to stop performing, Dick Savil has... I wonder if it's Savil or Savil. How would you pronounce it?
Savil.
Savil. Well, his first name's Dick. Because his wife stopped performing, Dick Savil has turned to the bottle.
Has Dick?
Dick has. Dick needs to straighten out.
Does Dick?
Dick does.
Will Dick?
Dick will.
Like many a star, Doris Savil, or Doris Humphreys as she was at age 7, owes her discovery to the misfortune of others.
My sister was going to sing a song at a charity concert one afternoon. She came home from school and she had laryngitis. So in the evening, Mum was going to rehearse. She said, well, try and see if you can sing, because Mum played the piano. And I started singing the song she was singing, and that's how it started. When I used to walk on the stage, they used to say, so I was that tiny, so small. And when I opened my mouth, oh, some of these days, you know, and I used to love that, you know.
Now, Doris's hubby of 52 years, Dirty Dick, her words, not ours, doesn't share his lady's love of all things theatrical. So he virtually lives out in the garage and drinks copious amounts of beer. Fortunately, he makes copious amounts as well. Doris has the stage, Dick has his still.
Dick, tell me what it's like being married to a starlet.
Well, you can understand why I make my own brew, can't you?
Here's the twist. The two are inseparable. When Doris and her troupe, the Doris Savil Players, venture forth onto the senior sit circuit, Dirty Dick is always bringing up the rear.
Come on. Oh, it was a lovely picture, and I did enjoy it so. Oh, I never cried so much in all my life. When you start, you've got to break the ice, haven't you? It's like going skating. Yeah, and when the villain sees the maiden, everybody's shouting, oh! Oh! They don't have many lively concerts. They've got quiet, but I think they'll get warmed up later on. Back in the good old days, when a dollar was a dollar.
Admittedly, we had our doubts. But sure enough, somewhere between Knit One, Pearl One and a pulsating piano solo, metamorphosis.
Good old days, when a dollar was a dollar.
Even Dirty decided to pull up a pew.
You're limbless like a million. You're limbless like a millionaire.
Ha ha! That really takes me back, seeing Mrs. Savil, Dick's wife, to the wonderful old days of the Tivoli. In those days, you see, you won't know. You probably don't. You couldn't. In those days, you didn't need microphones and... I mean, those singers belted it all out, and they didn't need microphones and expensive, powerful sound equipment.
They sounded great, did they?
I don't know, I could never hear a bloody word. Still to come, the Country Pub, where collecting has become an art form. And what's new in Pussycat Retirement Homes? All ahead on Graham Kennedy, Coast to Coast, with John Mangos, the Calamari Kid.
From Augusta, Georgia, 3 days of gripping action with all the golfing greats. Can Sandy Lau retain the championship? The U.S. Masters Golf commences Saturday morning, 11:30 on 9.
It's true. Long-distance running is a lonely business. And you face the toughest competitor there is, yourself. This is something which keeps up with me. New Rexona Sport. It goes on drier and works hard to help stop wetness and odour. It's one deodorant which goes the distance.
New Rexona Sport deodorant. It won't let you down.
Streets Viennetta could leave you with one small problem. One slice is never enough. Streets Viennetta, one of the range of Streets' delicious desserts.
It's April, and at Brash's, we feel foolish because our prices are too low. Like this Masuda cordless remote TV for only $599. This Akai Hi-Fi with CD player is only $399. Now that's going a bit far. What about JVC autofocus camcorders for $1,699? For the most foolish prices this April, just ask Brash's.
Like it or not, we're a computer society. Technology is enhancing our lives in many different ways. But sometimes it has another effect. It can make us feel like numbers. As if we're lost in the system. You want people to care about you, to know you by your name. So does everybody else. The truth is that people need people. You, me, all of us. Love your neighbor as yourself, as the good book says. A more loving community may start with you.
Unbearably gushing interviewer and TV host David Frost was born on this day in 1939. He was educated at Cambridge and became popular in the 60s for That Was the Week That Was and The Frost Report, before exploiting his inimitable interviewing style. People seemed to tire of him in the early 70s, and apart from several widely televised interviews with Richard Nixon about what it's like to be a has-been, his major efforts have been in flogging Scotch whisky. The first Weight Watchers International meeting was held in Sydney on this day in 1969. The membership had shrunk as individuals, but swollen as a group, and there are now more than 850 clubs across the country. The most successful of the weight loss programs, it's proved to be trim, taut, and prolific. Actor James Garner is 61 today. He was a television star in Maverick in the 50s and again in the Rockford Files from 1974 to 1980, and also starred in many movies. He usually played a soft-hearted tough guy, a hard-headed wise guy, or a soft-headed hard guy. Central Victoria is known for its gold digging, red wine and beautiful countryside. Now, somewhere on the road between Bendigo and Shepparton, there's another attraction, the Logan Pub.
Only in Australia could a pub with no beer, or one which would make an architect cringe like Etamoga, become famous. The Aussie bush pubs. Some say they're a dying breed, but if people like Peter and Hazel De Silva at the Avoca Forest Hotel have their way, they'll live forever. The Logan Pub, as it's better known, does have beer and is more sturdy than its Etamoga counterpart, but its walls are decked with items so rare you won't find them anywhere else in the world. A chainsaw which runs so quietly the locals never complain about the noise, a washer and wringer you won't pick up in any hardware store, business cards from every traveller who's passed through, and pet lovers will never have to cage their dog or cat again when going on holidays. Peter, after working at some of the leading hotels in Australia, such as the Regent and the Menzies at Rialto, what does Avoca Forest have that they don't?
Nicer people. People who come in here are much, much nicer and freer and easier than the ones in the hotels in the city.
Well, why do you think the locals drink here?
Awful long walk to the next pub.
People from all over the world have come to Avoca Forest just to get a glimpse of the rare and mystical objects hanging on the walls of the Logan Pub. How did these walls evolve?
Oh, I think originally one fellow had left a business card, then another fellow, and that built up from there, and since I've been here, we've just sort of added and added and added to the present memorabilia. I got it then.
Money from around the globe spills out of the till and around the bar at the Logan Pub, including many notes collectors would find nowhere else. With all this money hanging around, are you at all worried about security risks?
Oh, no. We have our advanced electronic surveillance equipment.
Of course, a pub like Logan's doesn't rely on a jukebox to entertain its guests. It provides music by its own local brass band. And then there's the Toiletonium. Peter, I have to ask you, what sort of music does the Toiletonium provide?
Beautiful, quiet chamber music.
Many travellers have been so enthralled by the walls at the Logan Pub, time has slipped by unnoticed, and they've had to spend the night. Have no fear, there are rooms to rent at Avoca Forest to rival the best international hotels. There's the Oriental Suite, so named because of its bamboo lampshade. And there's the Royal Suite. Blue, of course.
Only actually got one rule at the Logan Pub, and that is, if you happen to be facing Adolf Hitler, you've had too much to drink.
Money is no object either, owning one of the largest gold nuggets ever discovered, but with no intention of ever cashing it in. The foot of faith, is it the genuine article?
Absolutely infallible. It is genuine 22-carat Malibu.
Even if the foot of faith isn't the real thing, you can be certain that at the Logan Pub, you'll find your pot of gold. Wayne Dyer, Graham Kennedy, Coast to Coast.
Coast to Coast emanates from Sydney to stations all around the Commonwealth. And we like to share everything we do locally with you. For instance, John and I are currently on air in a local TV commercial for a Sydney Sunday paper. Now, the two Sunday papers here are the Sun Herald and the Sunday Telegraph. The end of the commercial goes like this.
Don't you miss your Sun Herald this weekend, or you'll miss the best Sunday paper in Sydney.
Now, when we were making the commercial, because making commercials like making movies, it's a fairly boring process, and so you play around. So I played around a little with the commercial. Now, I should point out that the following is in no way authorised by the Sun Herald, or indeed anyone connected with the Fairfax Group. The Sun Herald would never condone this kind of promotion.
Do you miss your Sun Herald this weekend, or you'll miss the best Sunday paper in Sydney? It shits on the top.
Hey Hey can be deep and meaningful.
I do not wait for trains anymore. They have never waited for me.
The man's an idiot, I'm telling you right now.
But one thing you'll never have to wait for is the laughter.
Grotesque.
Join the in-crowd on Hey Hey at Saturday.
I'll tell you what is in and what's on.
Jackie Love, 1927, The Dulltones and Wayne Gardner.
On a television set near you.
Terrific.
Presented by McDonald's in Cadbury.
This is a zinger.
Please come.
6:30 Saturday on 9.
I like the way you make me laugh. I like the funny things you do. You always take me by surprise. I like the pride in you. You make me want to smile with all the magic that you do. And there's nothing in the world like the Sprite in you.
Sprite, the greatest tasting lemonade.
I like the Sprite in you.
No wonder Keith Bowden's backing Hoover.
You keep coming back.
Australia's own Hoover washers, ahead of the rest for features and fashion colours. Keith Bowden Electrical, South Road, St Mary's.
You keep coming back.
We'll be back.
Stop, look around. You get the best deal in town. At Monty Motors, we'll make it happen for you. Yes, we've got the best. That's the secret of our success. us at Monty Motors. Your driving dreams will come true. Monty Motors.
Ford dealers of Port Adelaide, 1013 Port Road, Cheltenham.
Green light's on for the most exciting and competitive season in the history of Formula One, and tickets are on sale now for the fastest Australian Grand Prix, November 2 to 5. The best seats go quickly, so contact your nearest BAS office now. Accommodation's easy too. Just call Grand Prix Accommodation on 008 888 484 and make sure you're there when Adelaide comes alive.
Majestic presents the legendary Roy Orbison live in concert from Houston. One of his last great performances, captured for all time on this incredible home video. If you like Roy Orbison, you'll love the home video of the year, a special tribute to Roy Orbison. Also available from these leading stores is Fats Domino, Ricky Nelson, and Neil Sedaka. Only $24.99 from Majestic.